So what's this?
It's for weapons, for cleaning your weapons.
Okay.
Thrill seekers often venture into eerie places, abandoned buildings, old factories, and crumbling relics of the past.
It's something out of a horror movie, this place.
Look at this bed.
Oh, yeah.
It used to be a bed.
Only to uncover chilling discoveries, from hospitals with untouched medicine to mansions set for guests who never arrived.
There is a huge amount of unrecorded human history beneath the ocean's surface.
These haunting remnants tell unsettling stories. Today, we're diving into the creepiest finds by urban explorers.
Look at that. This is so cool.
Eerie underwater city of the past. Beneath the crystal-clear waters, urban explorers encountered a breathtaking sight, an eerie underwater city, its structures and remnants visible through the depths. This submerged metropolis, frozen in time, held a haunting allure, as if the ghosts of a forgotten civilization still wandered its sunken streets. With every dive, the explorers were drawn deeper into this surreal landscape, where dilapidated buildings stood like ghostly sentinels, their windows dark and empty, echoing tales of a vibrant past. As they navigated the submerged alleyways, overgrown with algae and teeming with marine life, remnants of human activity emerged. Fragments of sculptures, corroded signage, and decaying vehicles, all entangled in nature's embrace. The underwater city represented an indication of the relentless passage of time, where life once thrived but was now suspended in an ethereal tranquility. Sunlight filtered through the water, casting otherworldly rays that illuminated the submerged structures, enhancing the mystique of this forgotten world. The explorers were captivated by the beauty and eeriness of the scene, feeling as if they had stumbled upon a lost chapter of history. This underwater city, with its haunting remnants of civilization, became a portal to another time, allowing the explorers to reflect on the fragility of human endeavors and the inevitable reclamation of nature. In this magical realm, the past lingered in the currents, inviting those who dared to explore its depths to ponder the stories that lay beneath the surface. Now, for something truly eerie. This unsettling image was supposedly captured by an Arabian explorer. It shows a naked woman in an abandoned building, standing near strange markings drenched in what appears to be blood. Some speculate it's part of an occult ritual, while others believe it's staged for shock value. Is this real or an elaborate hoax? Let us know in the comments. Mannequin Hotel. The grandeur of an abandoned hotel speaks volumes of its once bustling past. But when urban explorers ventured into one such deserted edifice, they found something far more disturbing. A legion of mannequins eerily posed throughout the building. As they stepped into the once opulent lobby, they were greeted by lifelike figures frozen mid-conversation, their plastic eyes reflecting the faint light filtering through dust-caked windows. The unsettling sight of these human-like figures standing in place gave the explorers an immediate sense of unease. Each room of the hotel presented a different scene, with mannequins staged as if they were living out moments in a long-forgotten past. In one room, a group of figures sat around a dining table and paused forever in their silent dinner party. In another, mannequins stood as though awaiting service at a front desk that had been empty for years. The lifeless figures, frozen in time, seemed to give the hotel an eerie, almost haunted quality, as if the building itself was waiting for something to bring it back to life. Navigating through the mannequin-filled hallways, the explorers couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The vacant, unblinking stares of the mannequins seemed to follow their every move. This strange discovery turned the abandoned hotel into something out of a nightmare, a place where time stood still and eerie plastic inhabitants were its only residents. Abandoned asylum records. Deep within a long-abandoned asylum, urban explorers discovered a terrifying, time-frozen relic. Inside the deteriorating walls, they discovered a massive library of pristine medical documents, with each folder methodically recording the lives and struggles of the people who formerly lived there. These extensive documents, now fragile and worn by time, contained the personal stories and psychiatric profiles of long-forgotten individuals, generating an unsettling sensation of presence amid the empty, echoing halls. As they wandered further into the asylum's dark corridors, the explorers noticed strange artwork on the walls, presumably crafted by the patients who once called this place home. It's something out of a horror movie, His Grace. Look at this vet. Oh, it is to be a vet. These murals, some faded and peeling, others still vibrant, offered a haunting glimpse into the troubled minds that once occupied these rooms. The artwork seemed to whisper forgotten stories, their colors a sharp contrast to the grim and decaying surroundings. Yet perhaps the most unnerving aspect of the asylum wasn't the records or the artwork, but the thick, almost oppressive silence that filled the building. It was a silence heavy with the weight of history and lost voices, broken only by the explorers' footsteps and the faint rustling of old papers. This abandoned asylum stood as a haunting monument to the past, a memory of outdated psychiatric practices and the eerie stillness that remains after decades of desertion. Mystery symbols. Tunnel. Hidden beneath a forgotten city, urban explorers uncovered an unsettling discovery within a vast tunnel network. A series of walls covered in strange, unexplainable symbols. These mysterious markings, carved into the cold stone with meticulous precision, appeared to be part of an ancient codex, though their meaning was lost to time. The explorers, armed only with flashlights, ventured deeper into the labyrinthine tunnels, their beams casting flickering shadows that danced across the cryptic inscriptions. The dark and claustrophobic tunnels stretched out in endless coils beneath the city, each new turn revealing more strange symbols. Some of the markings appeared geometric, others more fluid, almost as though they were written in a forgotten language. Every line and curve felt intentional, as if these markings held some deeper meaning known only to their creators. The explorers couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone. There was an eerie, oppressive silence, broken only by the faint echoes of their footsteps. As they ventured further, the explorers were left with more questions than answers. Who had created these symbols, and why? Was this tunnel network once used for something more sinister? The unexplainable nature of the symbols added a sense of dread and mystery to the already eerie underground setting, leaving the explorers haunted by the strange and cryptic messages they had uncovered. Doll-filled basement. In an old, crumbling house on the verge of collapse, urban explorers made a chilling discovery: a hidden basement filled with hundreds of dolls. These dolls, with their glassy eyes and fragile porcelain faces, sat eerily on dust-covered shelves that lined the cold stone walls. The explorers, shining their flashlights into the dim room, were greeted by a sea of lifeless gazes, each doll staring blankly into the darkness, as though waiting for something. The dolls were of various shapes and sizes, ranging from ancient porcelain figurines to more modern plastic models. Some appeared weathered and cracked, their delicate features worn by time, while others seemed almost new, their eyes still shining with an unsettling brightness. The eerie silence of the basement amplified the strange atmosphere. Each step the explorers took sent a soft echo through the room. As they moved through the basement, the explorers couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Despite being inanimate, the dolls seemed to follow their every move with their unblinking eyes. The hidden basement, filled with this bizarre collection, felt like a shrine to forgotten childhoods, or perhaps something far darker. It was as if the dolls themselves held the house's secrets, casting an unsettling spell over anyone who dared to enter. Buried subway car. Deep beneath the bustling city streets, urban explorers discovered a terrifying relic: an abandoned subway vehicle, forgotten and allowed to rust on unused tracks. Its once busy halls were now dusty, and the air was dense with the silence of a time capsule. This defunct automobile, hidden from the world above, appeared to be stuck in the past. The antique leather seats, despite being worn and cracked, nevertheless held the impressions of passengers who had passed on. Torn advertisements, yellowed with age, clung to the walls, their out-of-date phrases remembering a period long past. Graffiti covered the windows and doors, a testament to those who'd found this eerie place before the explorers. Every step they took reverberated through the silent, cavernous tunnel, the cold air only amplifying the disquiet. It was as though they were retracing the forgotten footsteps of countless commuters. The subway car, a ghostly relic of the past, was a chilling souvenir of how quickly time can erase the once vibrant life of a city. Venturing through the cold underground expanse, the explorers were transported back to a different time, untouched by the modern world above. World War II bunker, hidden deep within a dense forest. Urban explorers stumbled upon an eerie and unexpected relic of history, a forgotten World War II bunker. Its concrete walls, now covered in moss and vines, bore silent witness to the grim events of a bygone era. Inside, the bunker was dark and damp, its interior largely untouched since the war. Rusted bunk beds lined the walls, their thin, tattered mattresses home to growing colonies of mold. Old maps, once essential tools of survival, were now faded and peeling off the walls, barely holding on to their former purpose. Broken weaponry and decaying communication devices lay scattered across the cold concrete floor, remnants of a time when survival depended on such tools. The bunker felt haunted by the past, a place where soldiers once lived in fear and hope. Its cold, oppressive air seemed to whisper stories of long-lost bravery and anguish, making the explorers feel as though they were standing on sacred ground. Exploring the decaying ruins, the group couldn't help but feel the weight of history pressing in from all sides. This forgotten bunker, overrun by nature but untouched by time, remained a silent tribute to the horrors and sacrifices of war, hidden away in the forest like a buried memory. Preserved time capsule. A simple house in a quiet neighborhood appeared to be just another forgotten property, until urban explorers stepped inside and discovered a world frozen in time. Everything in this strangely preserved time capsule was left exactly as it had been decades ago. From the open newspaper on the coffee table to the plates set neatly on the dining room table, it seemed as though the inhabitants had vanished in an instant, never to return. Dust clung to the beautiful china and silverware, while the columns of the yellowed newspaper recounted events that had long since occurred. Family portraits hung on the walls, their subjects smiling pleasantly as if ignorant of the passing years. Toys cluttered the floors, abandoned by children who had outgrown them, and wardrobes were stuffed with once fashionable attire that now appeared quaint and out of date. The home's unnerving tranquility gave it an unearthly quality, as if it were waiting for its owners to return to their forgotten existence. Moving around the chambers, explorers couldn't shake the impression of trespassing on someone's frozen world, a life abandoned. The eerie stillness of the house, intact but abandoned, provided a window into the past and created an unnerving impression of what occurs when time simply stops. Abandoned school. As urban explorers entered the school, an unsettling calm pervaded the atmosphere. It seemed as if time had stopped midway through the session, leaving an uncomfortable mood. Desks were neatly arranged, notebooks remained open to half-finished lectures, and pencils were scattered as if they had just slipped from students' fingers. The chalkboard carried the final markings of an unfinished lesson, with the dates scribbled in chalk serving as a sad reminder of the day everything came to an end. The hallways, once filled with the laughter and chatter of students, were now silent and empty. Lockers hung open, some still filled with forgotten textbooks and jackets. It was as if the school had been abandoned in an instant, with no time to clean up or say goodbye. Classrooms were left intact, frozen in a snapshot of everyday life, now long gone. The haunting emptiness of the school echoed through the halls, a ghostly reflection of a place once filled with life and learning. As the explorers walked through the building, it was hard to shake the feeling of a day interrupted, a moment captured in time that would never be completed. The quiet, the stillness, and the frozen remnants of childhood made the abandoned school one of the most unsettling discoveries they had ever encountered. Mysterious island structures. On a lonely island far from the prying eyes of contemporary man, urban explorers discovered a mysterious and unsettling sight. Strange constructions dotted the rough landscape, each more perplexing than the last. These collapsing formations, worn by time and nature, bore no discernible pattern or function, leaving the explorers bewildered and uneasy. Some of the decaying ruins resembled abandoned homes, with their walls covered in layers of moss and ivy, while others stood tall like intriguing monuments or cryptic statues. As the explorers wandered deeper, they uncovered strange artifacts, fragments of pottery, intricate carvings, and old tools, hinting at a lost civilization that once thrived on this forgotten island. Yet, there were no written records or legends to explain the island's history, only silence and the distant rustling of leaves in the wind. The isolation of the place heightened the explorers' sense of eeriness, as if the structures themselves were guarding secrets long buried by time. With each step, they felt like they were walking through the remains of a lost world, a civilization that had been erased from history, its legacy now reduced to overgrown ruins and cryptic relics. The island's haunting mystery lingers, a silent testament to a past that may never be uncovered. Underground City. Underneath the bustling streets of a booming metropolis, urban explorers discovered a long-lost underground metropolis, a secret marvel that had slipped the minds of the inhabitants. This maze of tunnels and chambers, once bustling with human activity, now sat abandoned in unnerving solitude. As the explorers moved down the dark passageways, they uncovered relics of an entire cityscape, complete with streets, buildings, and crumbling infrastructure from a bygone era. This subterranean city frozen in time suggested a secretive past. The explorers could only speculate about its original purpose. Perhaps it was once a refuge for those escaping the dangers above, or maybe it served as a covert hub for underground activities, shielded from prying eyes. Ancient signage, crumbling walls, and long-forgotten pathways revealed a hidden existence that had persisted unnoticed for decades, if not centuries. The deeper they ventured, the more they unraveled fragments of a forgotten society that had once thrived beneath the surface. The haunting silence of the tunnels contrasted sharply with the bustling life above, reminding the explorers of the countless mysteries lurking just beneath their feet. This underground city, concealed from the world, stands as a tribute to how much of the past can be hidden in plain sight, waiting to be uncovered by those brave enough to explore its depths. The Banquet Mansion. Imagine stepping into a grand mansion where time stands still. That's exactly what urban explorers experienced when they discovered a luxurious estate left in a state of eerie suspension. The mansion's opulent banquet hall remained frozen in the midst of an unfinished feast. Long tables, draped in fine cloth, were set with exquisite china, crystal glasses, and silverware, all covered in a thin veil of dust. Plates of food decayed beyond recognition lay untouched, as if the guests had abruptly vanished, leaving their meal behind. The explorers moved carefully through the silent hall, where chandeliers still hung from the ceiling, casting ghostly shadows over the once grand room. The air was thick with a sense of unease, as if the mansion's former residents were watching from the shadows. The stillness was overwhelming, broken only by the occasional creak of the wooden floor beneath the explorers' feet. It felt as if they had intruded on a forgotten moment, one frozen in time for eternity. The mystery of why the banquet was left unfinished lingered as the explorers departed. This mansion, with its hauntingly preserved feast, served as a chilling memento of how time can halt without warning, leaving behind only echoes of a past that never concluded. Abandoned Hospital of Unused Medicines. In the eerie silence of an abandoned hospital, urban explorers discovered a chilling sight, rooms packed with unopened medicines left to gather dust. Once a hub of life-saving action, the hospital now stood frozen in time, a ghostly shell of its former self. Navigating dim corridors, they felt the haunting contrast between the bustling past and the eerie stillness, as neatly stacked boxes sat untouched, their expiration dates long forgotten. The explorers couldn't help but feel a weighty melancholy hanging in the air. These unopened medicines, once brimming with the promise of healing, now stood untouched, silent witnesses to a sudden halt in the hospital's operations. The labels on the bottles whispered tales of ailments and treatments, hinting at the countless stories of hope and despair that once filled these walls. The scent of lingering chemicals was a bittersweet memory of the lives once saved within these sterile environments. Each step through these forgotten rooms felt like a journey through time, where unfulfilled prescriptions and unrealized recoveries lingered, leaving an indelible mark on those who dared to enter. Silent Movie Theater. Urban explorers found themselves stepping into a time capsule when they entered an abandoned movie theater, whose once glowing marquee now faded and forgotten. The theater, which had once been alive with the magic of cinema, now sat in a state of eerie silence. Dust-covered rows of red velvet seats stretched out before them, each one marked by the countless patrons who had once filled them. The air inside was thick with nostalgia, as if the laughter and applause from decades past still echoed faintly within the crumbling walls. As the explorers walked down the aisle, their footsteps muffled by the dust-laden carpet, they were transported to an era when the silver screen enchanted audiences. Faded posters of long-forgotten films adorned the walls, and the projector room, now a decaying relic, held the remnants of the machinery that once brought films to life. The wind whistled softly through broken windows, and the occasional groan of the old building reminded them that time had not been kind to this forgotten landmark. The theater, once a beacon of entertainment, now stood as a haunting relic of the past. Its silent halls told a bittersweet story of forgotten memories, of a place that had once been filled with life but was now frozen in a state of eerie abandonment. Mysterious church with cryptic inscriptions. Hidden amidst a lush forest, urban explorers discovered a forgotten church, its weathered stone walls adorned with cryptic inscriptions that sparked intrigue and curiosity. This ancient structure, battered by the elements, served as a canvas for enigmatic markings that hinted at a deep, hidden history. The explorers traced their fingers over the intricate patterns, marveling at the artistry that had stood the test of time. Each inscription seemed to whisper secrets that only the most astute could decipher, beckoning the curious to uncover its mysteries. As they ventured deeper into the church, the explorers found themselves in hidden alcoves filled with even more inscriptions and motifs. These symbols intertwined to create an intricate tapestry, evoking a sense of ancient knowledge waiting to be rediscovered. The atmosphere was thick with silence, as if the very walls held their breath, guarding the stories of those who once sought solace within this sacred space. The explorers felt a profound connection to the past, a yearning to unlock the narratives hidden within the stones, and a tribute that history often whispers to those willing to listen. Empty zoo with intact animal cages. Deep within an overgrown wilderness, urban explorers stumbled upon a hauntingly deserted zoo. The air was heavy with the remnants of a vibrant past, and the intact animal cages stood as solemn sentinels of a bygone era. As they walked along the once bustling paths, now muffled by layers of fallen leaves, the explorers were enveloped by an unsettling sense of abandonment. Each enclosure was a ghostly moment of the creatures that once called this place home, their spirits seemingly lingering in the air. The cages, now rusted and dilapidated, told stories of lives that had once thrived behind their bars. Faded signs, barely legible from years of neglect, displayed the names of long-gone inhabitants, evoking feelings of nostalgia and loss. As the explorers surveyed the overgrown terrain, they couldn't help but reflect on the joy these animals once brought to countless visitors. Nature was slowly reclaiming its territory, with vines and weeds creeping over the enclosures, reminding all who entered that even the wildest of creatures cannot escape the relentless cycle of life and decay. In this abandoned zoo, the echoes of laughter and wonder were replaced by the whispers of the past, creating an atmosphere that was both melancholic and reflective. One vintage amusement park reclaimed by nature. Tucked away in a dense forest, an urban exploration adventure led to a vintage amusement park, eerily reclaimed by nature. What was once a vibrant playground of joy now stood as a haunting relic, its attractions enveloped in the embrace of overgrown foliage. As the explorers ventured along forgotten pathways, they were greeted by rusted roller coasters entwined with gnarled branches, their twisted tracks whispering tales of excitement long past. The dilapidated Ferris wheel loomed above, its empty seats swaying gently in the breeze, evoking memories of laughter and jubilant screams that once filled the air. The carousel, adorned with faded and chipped horses, appeared frozen mid-gallop, a souvenir of carefree days now gone. Every crunch of leaves and snap of twigs underfoot created a symphony of nature reclaiming its territory. As they wandered deeper into this ghostly playground, the explorers imagined the lively family outings and joyful moments that once animated the space. Now a haunting silence enveloped the park, broken only by the distant call of an owl or the rustle of small creatures in the underbrush. This vintage amusement park served as a bittersweet memory of time's passage, a reflection on the cycle of growth, decay and rebirth that we all experience. Factory of unmade toys. In the heart of an industrial district, urban explorers discovered an abandoned factory in the center of an industrial zone, seemingly frozen in time and filled with unmade toys. Once a thriving creative hub, this spooky area now lay motionless, a disturbing reminder of unrealized hopes and production lines that had long stopped humming. As the explorers went inside, an unsettling aura surrounded them, with faint scents of plastic and paint remaining like ghostly whispers from the past. Rows of workstations sprawled across the expansive area, each cluttered with molds, materials, and half-finished prototypes. Scattered doll heads, limbs, and bodies awaited skilled hands that would never assemble them into life. Stacks of colorful fabric and piles of stuffing hinted at whimsical characters that could have delighted children, now mere echoes of imagination. The sight of these unfinished toys stirred a wave of nostalgia, evoking memories of childhood wonder and joy. As they wandered through this ghostly factory, the explorers sensed the very spirit of creativity lingering in the air, a silent plea from the unmade toys, yearning for their stories to be told. What was once a cradle of laughter and play now stood as a monument to lost potential, capturing the bittersweet essence of dreams that would never materialize. Forgotten Laboratory of Secrets. Far away in a forgotten corner of the city, urban explorers stumbled upon a long-abandoned laboratory, a hidden treasure trove of scientific equipment frozen in time. The atmosphere inside was electric, filled with the whispers of forgotten discoveries and untold stories just waiting to be uncovered. As they cautiously stepped into the dimly lit space, the explorers were greeted by a mesmerizing array of untouched microscopes, test tubes, and beakers, each standing like silent sentinels of knowledge on dusty benches. Each piece of glassware held mysterious substances, hinting at experiments left tantalizingly unfinished. Researchers seemingly suspended at the brink of groundbreaking revelations. The air was thick with the faint scent of chemicals, evoking memories of the countless quests for knowledge that once thrived here. As they moved deeper into the lab, their footsteps echoed through the eerie quiet, amplifying the sensation that the spirits of past scientists lingered, their intellectual pursuits forever paused. In this forgotten sanctuary, the explorers felt an undeniable connection to the past, a deep appreciation for the dedication and curiosity that once animated this space. The untouched equipment, now mere relics of history, presented as a chilling memory of time's relentless march and the fleeting nature of human endeavor, leaving the explorers captivated by the mysteries still locked within these walls. Abandoned military base of forgotten warfare. Deep within a desolate landscape, urban explorers stumbled upon a forgotten military base, a chilling testament to a bygone era of warfare. The grounds were littered with abandoned tanks, their once majestic forms now reduced to rusting hulks, silently bearing witness to the conflicts that shaped history. As the explorers traversed the decaying grounds, a sense of eerie stillness enveloped them, a bone-chilling memento of the battles fought and lives affected by the machinery of war. Each aged tank looked out against the bleak landscape, its metal hulls coated in layers of rust and surrounded by crawling flora. The explorers felt a strong connection to the stories contained within these once mighty war machines, now reduced to sad remnants of a volatile past. The silence was tangible, conveying the weight of lost wars and forgotten sacrifices, encouraging the explorers to reflect on the human experiences trapped within the relics of conflict. As they wandered the deserted grounds, the juxtaposition of the tanks against the peaceful surroundings evoked a sense of reflection. The explorers couldn't help but ponder the destructive power these machines once held, now rendered harmless by time and nature's embrace. This abandoned military base stood not only as a monument to conflict, but also as an expression of the cycles of destruction and renewal, echoing the lessons of history in its silent presence. As we conclude, these abandoned spaces remind us how quickly things can change and how history can fade away. In exploring them, we find both beauty and eeriness in these forgotten corners. Let us know which story you found the creepiest in the comments below. Thanks for watching, leave a like, and if you're new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe.